All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's Holy Sabbath Day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. We're going to go over dealing with this culture of the Hebrew Israelites. When you hear about some of the things that go on in Israel, a lot of people end up mixing the culture of the Jew-like people, the Jewish, in with the culture of the Hebrew Israelites, but it is not the same culture. The book that their culture comes out of is not this book. They have different books, the Mishna, the Talmud, the Gemara, whatever, and other so-called oral traditions that were written by man that dictate their culture. Even when it comes down to their holy days. This is why there's a 9-branch menorah that is commonly used among the Jewish and not the 7-branch menorah, which is written in the Torah. So there are some very strong differences, and we have to understand that even the adversary understanding that these things will happen to the children of Israel, it then became a game to him to get the children of Israel to go against this culture. And even if that is by way of providing a alternative, a like culture that is close to it, but not quite it. So the adversary is very good at giving us so many examples or so many different variations that we end up not choosing one at all. But brother, would you read the oracles and entreat the angel that stands at the door to come in and sup with us and us with him, that we may make this a holy convocation by the angel's presence?
1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks.
So there's a way that Yahweh expected the children of Israel to conduct themselves because we carry around the holy name of Israel. So there's something to the way that we act. I mean, when people have on their company uniform and they're riding in the company truck, the company dictates how you can drive and act with their uniform on. Well, you have to understand, if you carry the name Israel, you walking around with a Yahweh uniform on. How you going to conduct yourself? You going to turn around and walk all drunk and drive all over the road and you got Yahweh on the side of your truck? What you think them people got to say? Wait a minute, man. Hey, that dude, is that you? Man, that dude, he done ran over the curb. Man, you need to fire this guy. So we need to consider how it is we conduct ourselves when we are carrying the holy name of Israel. Go ahead.
Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him, and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame, and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right. We're going to begin today's sermon in Exodus chapter 1, and we're going to read verses 1 through 16. Exodus chapter 1 and verses 1 through 16, and we're going to deal with the culture of the Hebrew Israelites. You have to understand that from the beginning, it has always been an attack against the culture of the true Hebrew Israelites. When you go through the things of the Apocrypha, you understand why the Euro-Gentiles did not want those things as a part of the canon, because it gives names, it gives complete documentation of how the Euro-Gentiles pushed at getting the children of Israel to go against the culture, even, threatening them and say, okay, I come in with armies. All right, we'll stop if y'all stop keeping the Sabbath. All right, we'll stop if y'all stop keeping the holy days. I mean, it was really a straight all and out war against the culture. And this is not a new thing. This is what the heathen has always wanted. The heathen wants you to integrate and assimilate so that there are no major differences between groups of people. They want the only difference to be class-wise. You don't have enough money, so you don't come into this area. That type of thing. But they want everybody to worship the same way, because worship practices and differences in worship practices can cause major divisions among people. So since they want to, man has had this one world government thing in his heart and in his mind for so long, it has been his push to push everybody together. Exodus chapter 1, and let's start that at verse 1.
Now these are the names of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt. Every man and his household came with Jacob: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Yehuda; Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin; Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls, for Joseph was in Egypt already. And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that congregation. And the children of Israel were fruitful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them.
All right, take good notes, because we are going to have some trivia later on today concerning the topics that we're covering today. It says, and the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. Go ahead.
Verse 8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, Let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them out of the land.
Now, if you think this is some kind of just foreign thought, and that this is just among these Egyptians, consider the stuff that is going on in the Middle East about all the refugees. Have you noticed that the countries have said, we're only going to allow a certain amount of them? Understand, they're not letting a whole bunch. They're telling the people, all right, you take some of them, all right, and you take some of them, and you take some of them. They're worrying about those people coming in, multiplying, and then having the ability to eventually take over their country. So they're limiting the amount of people. And then the other countries are, even though they let them come in, then they limit their ability to work and take care of themselves. So they tell those people, all right, well, you must be here. Some of the things that when Israel takes in the people from other countries, they tell those people they must be there for roll call every couple of hours, which means you can't have a job. If you miss roll call, you may have the opportunity of being deported. So, excuse me. So the whole point of this is to make sure that these people will never become self-sustaining. Now, understand that this is the very thing that have happened to us here. When you deal with, they came in, they multiplied more than the Egyptians. Our people, it was one thing. When we came, we were still an asset to this country, even during the sharecropping days. During sharecropping, my grandmother was one of 19. So it was nothing for our families to have, 10, 12, 13 kids. Now, the whole breakdown is 2 kids. You got 2 kids. That's it. You don't need no more than that. That's what everybody is pushing. It was nothing for them to have that many kids. Well, once sharecropping was over, this became a problem because our people are multiplying faster than anybody else. See, the other nationalities that live here who have 15 kids, go back. Most of them took drugs to have 15 kids. They can't multiply like that on their own. The children of Israel can. This becomes a problem. Now you understand the whole industrialized prison complex was put together when slavery was done away with. So there was automatically another system put together to try and hold back your numbers. So separating the men from the women automatically cuts down reproduction. So at first they had conjugal visits, which means even the guys who were married were still able to see their wives. They cut all of those things out. So it then became, to destroy the nation, you attack the male seed. Go ahead.
Verse 11, Exodus chapter 1 and verse 11. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses.
So, making sure that they worked more than anybody else. When you look at the situation, by paying us less than what everybody else makes, it makes sure that we have to work more to achieve the same things. So this whole part of setting over them taskmasters so that they would work harder is the very same thing that's happening here. Go ahead.
Brother, you remember the what was the documentary, the phylacteries that they brought out of Ethiopia into Israel? They've done follow-ups and realized that those same people have not been multiplying because they've been doing stuff to those women so they wouldn't multiply. So there's always the fear of us as a people multiplying more than
exactly. Exactly. Well, that's where you have these things like Planned Parenthood, these all of the programs that will tell the woman, okay, we'll help you, but you can't have a man. We'll help you. You have to get on paper and say you don't know who your child's father is, and we'll help you. Now, this is the way this system pushes you to lie, so that you will have to, tell this lie to get any assistance. But then they turn around and they add all those numbers up. Then when our kids sit in the classroom, They read back those statistics that are real numbers because they got those from the very people who they had to made them lie to tell this. 60% of black women don't know who they baby daddy is. Now, they got that from the very thing that they made you check on that piece of paper. Then they turn around and get in their minds of the kids by then reading those statistics back to them when they get to school. So it's all a vicious cycle. This is all a part of having that workload on them so heavy. This cuts down on you being able to keep your culture. Your workload is a part of that. Go ahead.
Verse 12. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel.
Right. So now more craftier measures have to be devised because they decided they were going to work them to death. And apparently, we just found a stress reliever. They just end up making more children. Go ahead.
And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. And all their service, wherein they made them serve, was with rigor. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah. And he said, when you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then you shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live.
Right. If it is a daughter, the women are absorbed into the culture. The women do not have a seed. So whatever man they mate with, the offspring will become whatever that man is. So we used to hear that thing, if you just have 1 ounce of black in you, you black. If the father is, whatever the father is, that's the seed that is going on. So they know that they can absorb the women into the culture. But whatever seed comes from that man is that same lineage of people. So it then became the thing to destroy the men. So this is why now the heavier weight is all on the men of Israel. The attacks come to us more than attacks come to anybody else. This prison system is a part of that. Even the whole thing of, people telling you, make sure, we got all of this Similac and all of these things, give this stuff to the kids. These things have these increased amount of hormones that they're feeding to male children, which then increases all of this opportunity to become gay and all of these things because of the stuff that's fed to us. This stuff didn't have all of these hormones in it before. And now you have legal means, by the way, they allow same-sex marriage. Same-sex marriage will never produce any offspring. All they do with same-sex marriage is adopt kids that are already there. They don't produce. So this is another means of making sure that those numbers don't multiply. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 19. And when you talk about those shots and things like that, after World War II, after they had lost so many people, they brought those women in after the men were coming back from the war. And all those women, they said they gave them checkups, which in that checkup, they got shots. Those women were having babies like it was going out of style when the men got back home. The government made sure of it. They started giving them shots to make sure. So if they can give you shots to make sure you have kids, they can give you shots to make sure you can't too. There's some of them shots that they give those soldiers, they be in the woods in the pouring down rain, won't catch not damn cold. come home from the military and get sick as a dog and can't figure out now why I ain't get sick when I was in them bushes. Them shots. There's some serious stuff in those shots. Right. Leviticus chapter 19, and let's read I'll start at verse 10.
And you shall not glean your vineyard, neither shall you gather every grape in your vineyard. You shall leave them for the poor and stranger. I am Yahweh, your Elohim.
Right. So Yahweh has devised a way that the Hebrews should always take care of one another, because everything that you receive is not yours. This culture doesn't tell us that. This culture says the more you got, God wants you to be prosperous. Prosperity is one of the things. This speaks against the culture of Hebrew Israelites. It is not in our mindset today to think that everything that is given to you is not for you. The way that everything is set up in this society speaks against that. Even though this was your field, you were not supposed to glean it, which means you don't get everything out of it. Go ahead.
Verse 11. You shall not steal, neither deal falsely, neither lie one to another. And you shall not swear by my name falsely, neither shall you profane the name of your Elohim. I am Yahweh.
Now, the way that the Jewish have done this, you shall not swear by, well, jump to verse 11. They say you shall not steal, neither deal falsely, neither lie to one another. They have situations where when they deal with one another, there's a diamond mark where they make $1 million deals, and there are no pencils there, there are no ink pens, there's no paper. All of their deals are made by handshake. $1 million, they might have $5 million, in diamond deals. All they doing is shaking hands, and they watch. But they're the only ones allowed to be there. Only the ish. The way that they have done their thing now, they only have to keep this because they've allowed these other oral traditions. They only have to do these amongst one another. But they can mistreat you and anybody else. This is why the Hollywood controlled media, why they can ask people to do all of these ungodly things to star in a movie and to do all of those things, because you're not one of them. So they have constructed that Talmud to where they can do whatever if you're a heathen, and they call you the heathen while they have become you. Go ahead.
Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 13. You shall not defraud your neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with you all night until the morning.
Right. So the man's supposed to get paid every day. Go ahead.
You shall not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind, but shall fear your Elohim. I am Yahweh. You shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. You shall not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty, but in righteousness shall you judge your neighbor. You shall not go up and down as a talebearer among your people, neither shall you stand against the blood of your neighbor. I am Yahweh. You shall not hate your brother in your heart. You shall in any wise rebuke your neighbor and not suffer sin upon him.
Right. You shall in any wise rebuke your neighbor. If you rebuke him, then you speak to him regarding the situation that you guys have encountered together. What we'll do is just walk around and be angry with one another, and then it'll build up hatred and never say anything about the sin. Why? Because this whole newfound setup of Christianity tells us, well, you're a Christian, so you must forgive. Yahshua said, if your brother sin against you, rebuke him. If he repents, then forgive him. Nobody ever told us in that Christian setup that there was an equation about forgiveness. They just tell you, if somebody sinned against you, you're supposed to forgive them. That doesn't go according to what Yahshua said. And it doesn't go according to what's in this book. Yahweh and Yahshua agree in one. You don't forgive somebody while they're in the midst of stabbing you. No, you got to get that knife about you. But see, that's how that whole rosy red, God is love, that whole thing bounces off, and people tell you, oh, you dealing with that mean God. No, I'm dealing with the real one. Go ahead.
Verse 18. You shall not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of your people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am Yahweh. You shall keep my statutes. You shall not let your cattle gender with a diverse kind. You shall not sow your field with mingled seed, neither shall a garment mingled of linen and woolen come upon you.
Right. Yahweh has always had a problem with these mingled things. But everything that happens today, every commercial has interracial couples on it. Every Disney show has interracial couple. They want to tell the people there's no boundaries, just do whatever. Clothes, you can't even find clothes that's pure linen anymore. When you look for something and it's pure, it costs an enormous amount of money. It is the Euro Gentiles mingle everything. Everything is mingled. This gives them the better opportunity to rule. Now, don't get that misconstrued, because there are many Gentiles who know what this book say. I'm dealing with as a power source, as them ruling in general. But there are many Euro Gentiles who believe this book from Genesis to Revelation and are awaiting the setup of the true children of Israel. Go ahead.
You know, it's interesting you're talking about the mingle, because something as simple as the white tees or undershirts, we know that those used to be 100% cotton.
Yes, sir.
All of a sudden, now they're cotton and polyester.
Well, I guess it was cheaper when you had free people to pick the cotton. Now that you gotta pay somebody to pick the cotton, we gotta mingle this cotton, brother. We got to put something else with this cotton, because apparently these people want to get paid for this pickiness. Yeah. I reckon it gets a little bit more expensive when you got to pay the people to pick it. Remember we were driving down to Florida and we passed that cotton field? Hey man, that blew my mind. I ain't never seen that much cotton, brother. I ain't never seen. We had to pull over to the side of the road. We got pictures standing in the middle of the cotton field, and we looking at the stuff, man. Folks looking at us. Why they going back there in the cotton field? Hey man, we ain't never seen. Then we picking it and we can see the thorns up under it, so you understand why they hands was bleeding and how they hands all rough from picking this stuff. I was like, wow, man. It was utterly amazing, you know, looking at the things that our people have had to endure. But that all came about because we did not follow the culture that was given unto us. We allowed other people's mingle culture to come amongst ours, and we picked it up and ran with it. Go ahead.
Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 20. And whosoever lieth carnally with a woman that is a bondmaid, betrothed to an husband, and not at all redeemed, nor freedom given her, she shall be scourged. They shall not be put to death, because she was not free. And he shall bring his trespass offering unto Yahweh, unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, even a ram for a trespass offering.
See, what people have to understand, that there's an order. It says, whosoever lie carnally with a woman. What people don't understand is, folks think they married when they go through a ritual. You know, that somebody announces such and such. I hereby pronounce you husband and wife. No. That stuff y'all were doing in the dark, you pronounce y'all to be husband and wife. That's a private thing between those individuals. What would happen, and what you read about in this New Testament, is what? They had a marriage feast. They were then announcing their marriage to the rest of the people. But that may have been a private thing between them, as far as them making their vows. Now, if they wanted to do that and make their vows in front of people, they can do that. But there didn't need to be some person. It says, by the power vested in me by the state of Georgia, I hereby pronounce you. Wait a minute. The state of Georgia. Who vest? Wait, what are that in here? Where's Yahshua end up going through anything and said, you know, by the powers given to me by the state of Jerusalem, I hereby, no. You make your vow. That's private contract. That still reigns supreme right now. The first thing, if somebody takes somebody else to court, what do they ask them? Do you have any paperwork saying that you guys have made an agreement? Yes. Let me see it. Here. You know the judge got to go by whatever that paperwork said. Why? Private contract reigns supreme over all other law. So whatever you have in writing reigns supreme. This is why even though people will tell you this stuff is mandatory. All right, if it's mandatory, go ahead and do it. No, but we need your signature. Then it ain't mandatory then. If it's mandatory, you're going to do it anyway. Go ahead. You got it, boss. If it's mandatory, go right ahead. But we need your signature. Then it ain't mandatory. If you need my approval, then it's not mandatory. See, that's why. Then they have a contract. Because you signed it. Now you are held by a contract. Do you realize that anything that is handed to you as a contract, you can scratch out any line on it before you sign it? That's why they like these digital contracts now. Just push OK and agree that OK is the digital signature, and you agree. Because that digital contract, you couldn't scratch out any lines on it. They like dealing with those. Any contract, you can write down initial, don't like this part, don't like this part, don't like this part. Here go my name. There you go. Now that's my contract. Now let me I need to get a copy of this. Go ahead.
Verse 22. And the priest shall make an atonement for him with the ram of the trespass offering before Yahweh for his sin which he has done. And the sin which he has done shall be forgiven him. And when you shall come into the land, and shall have planted all manner of trees for food, then you shall count the fruit thereof as uncircumcised. 3 years shall it be uncircumcised unto you, it shall not be eaten of.
Right, we can't even find no fruit trees no more. When we were growing up, there were fruit trees everywhere. Ask these kids, what's a fruit tree? You mean fruit grown trees? I thought fruit came out of Walmart. Right. They ain't seen no fruit trees. We used to walk home, pick plum, pears, peaches, all depending on which way. Be like, hey, bro, why you walking that way home? Because I'm finna go over here where these muscadines at, bro. All right, we going with you. We know we got, hey, bro, you got to hurry up before that lady come outside. Hey, we knew what the fruit trees was. Everybody knew what the fruit trees was. These kids don't have a clue. That you just used to be able to walk down the street and eat. And there were some people they would see, and we knew when we were getting outrageous, when we had a bag. The same way this book said, when you get to your neighbor's a vineyard, it says you can eat, but you can't put. Do you know that that's illegal? All this time, them old folk used to fuss at us. If you went in there and picked some apples or an apple and ate it, that's illegal. When you went and picked and put enough in a bag for you to go home and make an apple pie, that's not legal. No, man, if you were hungry, then you pick one apple and you eat that apple. What you can eat, not what you can carry off somewhere else. That ain't right. Because see, now you could be carrying that off and go somewhere and sell it. That's not right. So Yahweh has already allowed for our culture for us to take care of one another. Go ahead.
Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 24. But in the 4th year, all the fruit thereof shall be holy to praise Yahweh withal. And in the 5th year you shall eat of the fruit thereof, that it may yield unto you the increase thereof. I am Yahweh your Elohim. You shall not eat anything with the blood, neither shall you use enchantment, nor observe times.
Right. You should not eat anything with the blood. That whole, I like my steak medium rare. Now that's medium bloody. Ain't no such thing. You cook, your steak supposed to be well done. And you're going to have to argue with the people at the restaurant because they don't want to cook it. They get angry with you. Oh, you mean you want it burnt? Well, burn it then. Cook my meat, man. And you shall not use enchantment nor observe times. That's all folks doing that love that Enoch calendar. They got a little system, and they got they have divided everything into all this equal pie, and it's a mathematical equation, so a regular man couldn't even figure out what the day is. And the problem with that is Yahweh's timing structure goes on rotations. It's all about everything rotates. Yet they have a equation. Here's the problem. If Yahweh alters that rotation at any time, your mathematical equation is already off. Even if your mathematical equation was good before. It says it's going to come to a point where the earth is going to reel to and fro like a drunkard. It's going to come off that axis, and it ain't going to even turn right. What's going to happen with your mathematical equation then? What happened to your mathematical equation during the times that there were already changes in the earth? Then you can't even account for how the so-called book of Enoch got on the earth. None of this stuff matches up, but all of this does what? It gets man off of the culture of the true and living Elohim. Go ahead.
Verse 27. You shall not round the corners of your heads, neither shall you mar the corners of your beard.
Mar is cut. You shall not cut the corners of your beard. See, we don't even know that is a culture of the God of Israel, that a man and a woman ain't supposed to look alike. My face and my woman's face ain't supposed to look like the same face. But see, now you got this brand new metrosexual man, and they all manicured, and they everything they so pretty. They so pretty. They got now. Well, even when the dudes lose their hair, I call it the Mako. They put the paint on the dude's hair. He get the Mako. You ever go over into the barber shop and seen dude getting the Mako? Oh man, they spray the hat. They spray hair on him, and then they get the thing and line up his hair. I said, what ain't he pretty? Look at him. Oh, look at. Then he got to sit under the dryer so he can dry the Mako. You know what I'm saying? So he got, after you go through the paint, they got the heat bay, right? Don't they heat up the paint? Don't they have to heat up the paint? So after they paint this guy's face, they done painted hair all on him. I mean, they done paint. So then he got to sit under the dryer like the rest of the women. You know, he under the dryer, all the rest of the guys sitting here in the barbershop, and I'm like, hey man, what the hell is that? What is that? Oh man, yeah man, that's the brothers are getting that, man. So the brothers coming in here getting the Mako? They getting the paint job? Oh yeah, and this brother be in there hours getting there, and I mean he be set, and he have to do just like the women when he leave there. He got to make sure that rain don't hit it, boy, or that color just started. That brother started looking like the Joker, and that Mako just started running. I said, boy, right. Go ahead.
Verse 28. You shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am Yahweh.
Okay, tattoos are against what Yahweh has written. I know some of us didn't know no better, and we ran out of paper, so we started writing on ourselves. But this is not allowed by Yahweh. I don't recommend you then turn around and go back and let them write on you again so you can get it off. It is what it is. If you got something on you, it's on you. Don't try to get them, because it said make cuttings in your flesh. That's all a tattoo is serious cuttings. And it's a real nasty process, because you're bleeding all the way through the process. And some people have gotten hepatitis and all kind of things from that, because they basically just get a little ink thing, stick it on your skin wherever it is, and then they get a needle and some ink, and they putting the ink on there and stitching it in with the needle. And every time they do it, blood comes, and then they have to get a tissue, wipe the blood away, and start back again. The whole thing scabs up because it's a sore. then it is inside your skin permanently. So, and certain ones they just figured out, especially the ones who ended up getting those tattoos where it's got red coloring in it. That red coloring is metallic. So them people go later on, they try to get an MRI or try to get an x-ray, and they catch on fire. The metal is like sticking a fork in the microwave. You stick a fork in the microwave, everybody, y'all done it before. I ain't the only one. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You forgot that thing was in there. And that thing give you that firework display. You're like, whoa! Right. That's what happened with that metallic paint in your hand or wherever that thing is, and you turn around and you go to the doctor years later, never knowing you now have metal in you because of the color that they use in that tattoo. So you got people going to the doctor for one thing, and then they own catch on fire. Right. Yahweh said, don't do it. Go ahead.
Verse 29. Do not prostitute your daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom, and the land become full of wickedness.
Right. When the mama show up and she got on tights, which ain't nothing but long draws, and then the daughter standing beside her with tights, which ain't nothing but long draws, they ain't doing nothing but prostituting the daughter. Everybody in there looking at them, and the mama know it. Because the kid didn't buy them clothes. The mama bought them clothes. So why did you buy your daughter some long draws and then send her outside? What you think the dude was going to be looking at when you put her on long draws and send her outside? You knew what he was going to be looking at. Right. Go ahead.
You shall keep my Sabbaths and reverence my sanctuary. I am Yahweh. Regard not them that have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards, to be defiled by them. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. You shall rise up before the hoary head and honor the face of the old man.
Right. A gray-headed man, you're supposed to stand up to greet an elder man. Back in the days, that stuff we used to do anyway. Now folks don't care. Go ahead.
And fear your Elohim. I am Yahweh. And if a stranger sojourn with you in your land, you shall not vex him.
Now you see how this Talmud goes against this? Because the Talmud says that they can do whatever they want to other people who are not Israel. You see how the Talmud directly goes against the Torah? Keep reading.
But the stranger that dwelleth with you shall be unto you as one born among you.
Right. Remember we had a brother sitting right here. Brother told us he could sell pork to his stranger. I said, first of all, where the hell you gonna get some pork from? How you get the pig to sell the pig to your neighbor? Right. Right. And this brother was eager to teach. Brother, you don't know enough to teach. Where you gonna get some pork? Well, I can do it unto the stranger. Who told you that? All of a sudden they gonna mistreat the stranger. No, I don't know where you getting that from. Because that didn't come out of here. Maybe we were getting together reading out of the Torah, and maybe he was going home and reading the Talmud or something. I don't know. But he had this thing where he could mistreat people of other nations. And the tripped out thing is the brother was mixed. You from another nation. What kind of twisted mentality is that? Yahweh never gave us the right to mistreat other people. So I don't know where they getting that twisted doctrine from. You ain't get it from here. Go ahead.
And you shall love him as yourself, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am Yahweh your Elohim. You shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, in meat yard, in weight, or in measure. Just balances, just weights, a just ephah, and a just hin shall you have. I am Yahweh your Elohim, which brought you out of the land of Egypt.
Right. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 21, and I want you to read verse 5 out of there.
Verse 5. They shall not make baldness upon their head, neither shall they shave off the corner of their beard.
Right. If you didn't understand more, Yahweh make sure it get a little bit clearer to you. Go ahead.
Nor make any cuttings in their flesh.
Nor make any cuttings in their flesh. You shall not make baldness upon your head. Now let's go to Leviticus 13. so that we can get a little bit more understanding on that. Leviticus 13, and let's read verses 40 and 41.
Verse 40. And the man whose hair is fallen off his head, he is bald, yet is he clean.
Right. So if you shave your own hair, something wrong. If you go bald on your own, ain't nothing wrong. Go ahead.
And he that has his hair fallen off from the part of his head toward his face, he is forehead bald, yet he is clean.
Right. See, the Egyptian would shave all the hair off. So, then it came to be this thing where, Michael Jordan bald and everybody else, yeah, man, we're going to be a sexy, Sister Star said, I love me a sexy bald man. Next thing you know, the top hair was gone. Next thing you know, the lip hair is gone. Now, brother, head bald, face bald. Next thing you know, brother gonna be shaving the eyebrow, looking like they had chemotherapy. We trying to get all the hair off. Now they advertising things for you to just electrocute yourself to death so that your hair never grows on your body. You can just be like a little albino hairless monkey. You ain't have no hair nowhere. With a good shock treatment and the hair won't grow. What is that? That's against Yahweh's culture. Because a man is supposed to look one way and a woman is supposed to look another way. See, this thing goes against the culture. Look at how now Yahweh's culture is coming in style. Look at how many brothers wear beards now. Man, we was in the hospital and a white man came up to me and he walked right in and looked right at my beard. He said, man, how long you been growing it? I said, what the hell? I said, I've been growing it for a couple years, but I cut it down. He said, oh, so you just gonna brag that you have to cut yours off. I said, what? Now what we done came to that the white man wants the beard. It is, but you see, when we do what we supposed to do, other nations want to follow us. Did you finish that, brother?
Yes.
All right, let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 10. See, we do, this is the thing. If we do what we're supposed to do, the nations will follow. I mean, this man was like, I wish I could get my beard. It's the doctor. I ain't talking about some dude. I'm talking about the man who had to give the authority for the other people to do the stitching. He was the head guy. He walked in with a beard. And he was admiring how full my beard was. And it's amazing that you're seeing more and more people have beards. It was always our culture. But having that whole metrosexual man, that goes against the culture. Even what we're told. We deal with corporate America. They tell you to tuck your shirt in according to what our loins are supposed to be covered. See? So everything that they have set up goes against our culture. 2 Samuel chapter 10, and let's read verses 1 through 5.
And it came to pass after this, that the king of the children of Ammon died, and Hanun his son reigned in his stead. Then said David, I will show kindness unto Hanun the son of Nahash, as his father showed kindness unto me. And David sent to comfort him by the hand of his servants for his father. And David's servants came into the land of the children of Ammon. And the princes of the children of Ammon said unto Hanun, their master, thinketh you that David does honor your father, that he has sent comforters unto you? Has not David rather sent his servants unto you to search the city and to spy it out and to overthrow it? Wherefore Hanun took David's servants and shaved off the one half of their beards and cut off their garments in the middle, even to their buttocks, and sent them away. When they told it unto David, he sent to meet them, because the men were greatly ashamed.
Right. They were too ashamed to go all the way back home. He went and to meet them. Go ahead.
And the king said, tarry at Jericho until your beards be grown, and then return.
Right. They were so ashamed that they didn't have any facial hair. He shaved off one side. They could have just shaved off the other side and went home. This man, I ain't going home look like this, man. Man, I look like a man child. I can't go nowhere. I'm a man, but I'm a child at the same time. I can't do that, man. So the king's looking, man, just stay here until your beard grow back, man, until you look like a man again. You see that? These men say, man, I don't look like no man. This ain't right. I ain't no little 20-year-old dude, man. I ain't supposed to look. I'm a grown man. I'm supposed to look like a grown man. I can't be going around with no slick face. See, now, Yahweh gave us this law, right? When we try to shave, all these bumps just come all up under our neck. Shaving don't even agree with us. Everybody else can shave every day and don't nothing happen. Africans don't even grow hair. They be like 50 years old and be looking at us, staring at our face. They don't even grow hair like that. Gentile can shave every day and nothing happened. There are some soldiers that had to get like a waiver because they couldn't keep shaving. Yeah. They recognized that in the military. That black people can't shave like everybody else. But the law was given to you. It wasn't given to them. So what we come up with? Some nasty magic shave. So we can figure out a way to just scald our face to death so the hair just fall off of it. The hair just, so you just put a chemical on your face and it smells like death. So you get a can of death, mix it up, rub it on your face, and the hair just fall off. What kind of mess? So now we find out ways to go around Yahweh's law. Yahweh made your body to fight against going against him. What we gonna do? We gonna be slick. So we can't do it with the razor. We gonna make some nasty, disgusting mixture that will just snatch the hair off our face so that we can be like everybody else. Yahweh already made it so that you don't look like everybody else. What it says, Yahweh has made man upright, but man has made many inventions. Right. Go ahead. Did you finish that?
Yes.
All right. Let's go to our 1 Corinthians. So we've dealt with the beard. Let's deal with this hair thing. 1 Corinthians. See, there's certain things that you need to be able to explain to the people that you are going to encounter, which is why we're going to have a little trivia on this as well. Because at the end of the day, people want to know why you do what you do. They want to know why the sisters got their head covered. I had a woman tell me God gave me the gift of hair. He didn't give me this to cover it up. So I don't know where you getting that from. No God of mine want my hair to be covered. All right. Show you right. Right. But see, when you get this Hebrew Christian thing, what they do is mix things as they see fit so that they can do whatever they want to do. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, and we're going to read verses 1 through 15.
Be you followers of me, even as I also am of the Mashiach. Now I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances as I delivered them to you. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of the Mashiach is Elohim.
Now, this is being to the Corinthians, so this is going to Gentiles. And he's having to explain to them this order. So if these people who believe that they are Christians, there should automatically be a certain thing among them with this being delivered to them. Go ahead.
Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head.
All right, mark your place right there, because we always have to go to this. Let's go to Exodus chapter 28, because the first thing you have to deal with is who this is written to. It's written to the Corinthians, so this is the Gentiles, but it says every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered. Now, let's look at the difference between a man and a priest. Exodus chapter 28. And we're going to read verses 36 through 43.
Verse 36. And you shall make a plate of pure gold, and graven upon it, like the engravings of a signet, holiness to Yahweh. And you shall put it on a blue lace, that may be upon the mitre, upon the forefront of the mitre it shall be.
Now, this mitre is what the high priest is wearing. Okay? So the high priest has a head covering that has a gold plate on the front of it. Go ahead.
And it shall be upon Aaron's forehead, that Aaron may bear the iniquity of the holy things, which the children of Israel shall hallow in all their holy gifts. And it shall be always upon his forehead, that he may be accepted before Yahweh. And you shall embroider the coat of fine linen, and you shall make the mitre of fine linen, and you shall make the girdle of needlework.
Now, it says, it shall always be always upon his forehead. The high priest doesn't remove his head cover. Go ahead.
And for Aaron's sons you shall make coats, and you shall make for them girdles, and bonnets shall you make for them.
Now, these bonnets are head coverings as well. So these are then the under priests. Aaron is the high priest. Then you have the under priests, and they have head coverings as well. Go ahead.
For glory and for beauty. And you shall put them upon Aaron your brother, and his sons with him, and you shall anoint them, and consecrate them, and sanctify them, that they may minister unto me in the priest office. And you shall make them linen breeches to cover their nakedness, from the loins even unto the thighs they shall reach. And they shall be upon Aaron and upon his sons, when they come in unto the tabernacle of the congregation, or when they come near unto the altar to minister in the holy place, that they bear not iniquity, and die. It shall be a statute forever unto them, unto him and his seed after him.
All right, let's go to Ezekiel chapter 44. Ezekiel chapter 44, and let's read verses 15 through 24. And let's read about what is prophesied to take place in the future temple. This has not taken place yet. Ezekiel chapter 44, and we're going to read verses 15 through 24.
Verse 15. But the priests, the Levites, the sons of Zadok, that kept the charge of my sanctuary when the children of Israel went astray from me, they shall come near to me to minister unto me, and they shall stand before me to offer unto me the fat and the blood, saith the Adonai Elohim. They shall enter into my sanctuary, and they shall come near to my table to minister unto me, and they shall keep my charge. And it shall come to pass, that when they enter in at the gates of the inner court, they shall be clothed with linen garments, and no wool shall come upon them, whilst they minister in the gates of the inner court and within. They shall have linen bonnets upon their heads, and shall have linen breeches upon their loins. They shall not gird themselves with anything that causeth sweat.
Right. So you see that even in the future temple, then there are linen bonnets upon their heads. So there is a covering. Like I said, when you deal with what they have made today with all of the mingled things, it's very difficult to find pure things, and we it makes us understand just how much Yahweh had given us within that temple setting. Go ahead.
That was the end of that.
That was the end of that. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go back to
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I need to go a couple more.
Okay.
Verse 19. And when they go forth into the outer court, even into the outer court to the people, they shall put off their garments wherein they ministered, and lay them in the holy chambers. And they shall put on other garments, and they shall not sanctify the people with their garments.
Mm-hmm.
Neither shall they have their heads
shaved.
Neither shall they shave their heads, nor suffer their locks to grow long. They shall only poll their heads.
Right. So their locks should be a certain length. Neither shall they shave their heads, nor suffer their locks to grow long. They shall only poll their heads. This is why you have those people that want to do those Israelite gatherings, because they want to have locks that come all the way down to the buttocks. See? So that way they can say, well, you know, we just a gathering, so we don't really have to follow no rules per se. Right? Go ahead.
Neither shall any priest drink wine when they enter into the inner court.
Right. It didn't say the priest can't drink wine. It says when they go into the inner court. The offerings, they offered wine and liquor to the priest. Go ahead.
Neither shall they take for their wives a widow, nor her that is put away, but they shall take maidens of the seed of the house of Israel, or a widow that had a priest before.
Right. So there is a certain type of woman that Yahweh wanted the priest to deal with because it would be easy for them to go astray dealing with certain types of women. All right, let's go back to 1 Corinthians.
First Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 5. But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head, for that is even all one as if she were shaven. For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered.
Right. So if the woman is not going to cover her head, let her cut the hair off. That'll take care of that right there. When you get off into Isaiah 3, Yahweh starts talking about the haughtiness of the daughters of Zion. He says, instead of well-set hair, I'm going to give them baldness. I bet they cover it up then. Yahweh going to make you keep his culture one way or another. When that hair start falling out, I guarantee you folks start covering it up then. But see, this whole, hey, the Christians say they believe in the New Testament. So why we don't see no head coverings on the Christian? Remember, now old Christians used to have their head covered. You can go and look at them old pictures. I can show you old pictures of Christian women with their head covered. But this newfound Christian woman, no. What you got there, bro?
Just wanted to say, I mean, even, you know, when you have people that has cancer, and they go through the chemotherapy and all they hear, like you said,
right,
falls off, they do cover it.
Right.
That's the only time they really cover their heads.
Man, we have, see, because we mix and mingle that doctrine of the Jew-like people, man, they teach people that they can have a head covering of hair. So if they put on a wig, they think they got on a head covering. Now, how a dude supposed to know if that's a covering of hair, that ain't your real hair? So now he got to, you know, because what that's supposed to mean in their thing, only the married women cover their head. So if a dude see a woman with a covering on, he's supposed to know, oh, okay, well, I can't talk to her because she married. But what if she got a covering of hair? So now he like, oh, my bad, I didn't know that was a wig. I didn't know. Because you cover your hair with hair. What kind of mess is that? First of all, you only cover what? This is some stuff here. So now you have Hebrew Israelites walking around with wigs on in the public, telling everybody they Hebrew Israelites. Right. Go ahead.
1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 7. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and glory of Elohim, but the woman is the glory of the man.
So you see, automatically it's saying the opposite for the man as it is the woman. But then when we read, we also see the difference between a man and a priest. And according to what is written, it says that the children of Israel shall be a kingdom of priests. So one way or another, the children of Israel need to be preparing for a head covering either now or later. If you don't think this applies to you now, do understand. You're going to have to figure out something, because come when it's time for us to enter into that land, the rest of the nations have to learn the ways of Yahweh. So you have the priesthood for the children of Israel, but then the rest of Israel is the priesthood for the rest of the world. Understand that. Go ahead.
For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels. Nevertheless, neither is the man without the woman, neither the woman without the man in the Adonai. For as the woman is of the man, even so is the man also by the woman, but all things of Elohim. Judging yourselves, is it commonly that a woman pray unto Elohim uncovered?
Right. When we pray, the men remove their coverings, the females do not. Females are already covered. So then the women pray as they are with their heads covered. You ain't never heard nothing like that in Christianity. Now why? It's in the New Testament. So why haven't you heard it? They don't care. They don't care anything about the ways of Yahweh. Go ahead.
Does not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him? But if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given her for a covering.
Right. If a woman has long hair, it is her glory. Now, that glory is also her husband's glory. Let's go to Numbers chapter 5. Numbers 5, and let's read verses 11 through 18.
Numbers chapter 5 and verse 11. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, If any man's wife go aside, and commit a trespass against him, and a man lie with her carnally, and it be hid from the eyes of her husband, and be kept closed, and she be defiled, and there be no witness against her, neither she be taken with the matter, and the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, and she be defiled, or if the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, and she be not defiled, then shall the man bring his wife unto the priest, and he shall bring her offering for her, the 10th part of an ephah of barley meal. He shall pour no oil upon it, nor put frankincense thereon, for it is an offering of jealousy, an offering of memorial, bringing iniquity to remembrance. And the priest shall bring her near, and set her before Yahweh. And the priest shall take holy water in an earthen vessel, and of the dust that is in the floor of the tabernacle the priest shall take, and put it into the water. And the priest shall set the woman before Yahweh, and uncover the woman's head.
And uncover the woman's head. The priest shall set the woman before Yahweh, and uncover the woman's head. Understanding that was it wasn't just something that was written in 1 Corinthians that a woman should be covered. It was already a culture of our people that there is supposed to be a covering there. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 21. So this causes a big problem with a lot of people, because you have these gathering people. They don't want to. They don't like, wearing anything over their head. And then if they'll wear something over their head and then put on 4 containers of makeup and walk around and look like a Hebrew clown. Talk about, I'm a Hebrew Israelite. No, I don't know what that is right there. Let's read verses 10 through 13.
Deuteronomy chapter 21 and verse 10. When you goeth forth to war against your enemies, and Yahweh your Elohim have delivered them into your hands, and you have taken them captive, and seeth among the captives a beautiful woman, and have a desire unto her, that you wouldeth have her to your wife, then you shall bring her home to your house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails.
Right. She had to cut off her former husband's glory. Go ahead.
And she shall put the raiment of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in your house, and bewail her father and her mother a full month. And after that you shall go in unto her, and be her husband, and she shall be your wife.
Right. They had to kill the males, and to make sure if that has been a full month, of course, then she was not pregnant before either, if you waited that full monthly cycle. Let's go to 2 Kings. 2 Kings chapter 9. And we're going to read verses 26 through 30. Because we seem to have this spirit of Jezebel among a lot of Israelite sisters, especially the Facebook socialites. 2 Kings chapter 9 and verses 26 through 30.
Verse 26. Surely I have seen yesterday the blood of Naboth, and the blood of his sons, saith Yahweh, and I will requite you in this plat, saith Yahweh. Now therefore take and cast him into the plat of ground, according to the word of Yahweh. But when Azahiah, the king of Judea, saw this, he fled by the way of the garden house. And Jehu followed after him, and said, Smite him also in the chariot. And they did so at the going up to Gur, which is by Iblim. And he fled to Megiddo, and died there. And his servants carried him in a chariot to Jerusalem, and buried him in his sepulchre with his fathers in the city of David. And in the 11th year of Joram, the son of Ahab, began Azahiah to reign over Judea. And when Jehu was come to Jezreel, Jezebel heard of it. And she painted her face, and tired her head, and looked out at a window.
Right. Jezebel painted her face. This is one of these things that we seem to have a really big issue with. Yahweh knows that a woman always adorn, women always adorn themselves, but there are certain things, especially when you go to serve Yahweh, your Elohim, those things should not be among you. And then all things should be done with some form of modesty. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 23. And that's what ends up happening when you put on so much makeup that you are painting your face. There's a problem. There's some people that don't even look the same. Some brothers feel like they got cheated. They're like, wait a minute. Who are you? This is definitely not the same woman I saw last night. The lashes gone, the color gone. They had done pumped up the lips, now they done went back down. Man, they got a lip pump where they can pump them up, get them all juicy. stuck the lips in a bottle so they pump up for a little while, but then they go and deflate. So then this dude wake up in the morning and say, who this flat lip, no eyebrow, pale woman in front of me? It is I. What? There's something wrong here. But see, some brothers like that. So this is why you got those gatherings. So the sister said, look, I turn a blind eye and you can, walk around with your locks all hanging out all the way down to your buttocks. If you let me paint my face like Jezebel. All right, deal. I like an average Joe and you can look like a hoe. Let's do it. Right. Ezekiel 23 and verse 36 through 49.
Yahweh said moreover unto me, Son of man, will you judge Aholah and Aholibah? Yea, declare unto them their abomination, that they have committed adultery, and blood is in their hands, and with their idols have they committed adultery, and have also caused their sons, whom they bear unto me, to pass for them through the fire to devour them. Moreover, this they have done unto me. They have defiled my sanctuary in the same day, and have profaned my Sabbaths. For when they had slain their children to their idols, then they came the same day into my sanctuary to profane it. And lo, thus have they done in the midst of mine house.
Mm-hmm.
And furthermore, that you have sent for men to come from far, unto whom a messenger was sent. And lo, they came, for whom you didst wash yourself, painteth your eyes, and decketh yourself with ornaments, and satteth upon a stately bed, and a table prepared before it, whereupon you have set mine incense and mine oil. And a voice of a multitude being at ease was with her. And with the men of the common sort were brought Sabaeans from the wilderness, which put bracelets upon their hands, and beautiful crowns upon their heads. Then said I unto her that was old in adulteries, will they now commit whoredoms with her, and with them? Yet they went in unto her, as they go in unto a woman that playeth the harlot.
Right. See? So you said you set yourself up, you painted your face, and you went on to play the whore. Go ahead.
So went they in unto Aholah and unto Aholibah, the lewd women. And the righteous men, they shall judge them after the manner of adulteresses, and after the manner of women that shed blood, because they are adulteresses, and blood is in their hands. For thus said the Adonai Elohim, I will bring up a company unto them, and will give them to be removed and spoiled. And the company shall stone them with stones, and dispatch them with their swords. They shall slay their sons and their daughters, and burn up their houses with fire. Thus will I cause lewdness to cease out of the land, that all women may be taught not to do after your lewdness.
That all women may learn not to behave this way. Go ahead.
And they shall recompense your lewdness upon you, and you shall bear the sins of your idols, and you shall know that I am the Adonai Elohim.
All right, let's go to 1 Peter chapter 3. First Peter chapter 3, and we're going to read verses 1 through 5.
First Peter chapter 3 and verse 1. Likewise, you wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives, while they behold your chaste conversation, coupled with fear. Whose adorning, let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting the hair, and of wearing of gold, or of putting on of apparel.
Now, I didn't say that a woman could not adorn themselves, but this should not be your, you should be adorned with the Spirit. So there is a certain way that you ought to carry yourself. Go ahead.
But let it be the hidden man of the heart, in that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of Elohim of great price.
Yeah, if you have a meek and quiet spirit, then you ain't constantly all up in the man's face talking about how he ought to do. Why you sitting right there? Why don't you sit over there? Why you drive? Don't turn down that street. Turn down the other one. Why are you going that way? Go this way. Hey, shh. There's one steering wheel in this car. Turn down this street. Don't go down that street. Why are you getting over there? You should get the blue shirt, not the red one. Why are you wearing that? Go ahead.
Verse 5. For after this manner in the old time, the holy women also, who trusted in Elohim, adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands.
Now, verse 6 says, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham. So you have the daughters of Sarah, which is one type of woman, and then you have the daughters of Eve, which is a totally different kind of woman. And this is why Yahweh said that those priests had to marry certain kind of women. Because if you end up as a priest marrying one of them daughters of Eve, you gonna have you some problems. Ain't no doubt about it. When they were getting ready for them sons to marry, the mama and dad was, hey, look, don't let my son marry none of these women over here. Go back to his mama people. Go get one of them. Don't let my son marry none of these women over here. Because they gonna turn, he gonna be a sick, twisted, degenerate plant if he marry one of these women. So go back over there, get one of them. See, it matters. People think it don't matter. It matters. Let's go to Exodus chapter 32. Now, when we read in Deuteronomy chapter 22 and verse 5, it says that a woman shall not wear that which pertains unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. So some believe that men wearing earrings is against culture. So let us go read some of these things, because we'll see some people put that in the same box as this new metrosexual man. They see earrings and they put that into the same box. So let's see what Yahweh our Elohim has to say about it. Exodus chapter 32, and let's read verses 1 through 4.
And when the people saw that Moshe delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron, and said unto him, Up, make us gods which shall go before us. For as for this Moshe, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we know not what is become of him.
Right. And it says when Moshe delayed to come down, people have the biggest excuses when things don't happen according to their time schedule. The same thing that King Saul ended up saying, because Samuel, because you came not at the appointed time, I then forced myself and I made an offering. Bro, you ain't no priest. Ain't nobody tell you to make no, but because you didn't come at the appointed time. You mean because it didn't go according to the way you wanted it to go. So then you got all in your feelings, and your feelings told you to just go ahead and do that. Go ahead.
And Aaron said unto them, Break off the golden earrings, which are in the ears of your wives, of your sons, and of your daughters, and bring them unto me.
Right. So this golden calf was made out of the earrings that were in the wives, the sons, and the daughters. The boys had earrings too. Now we're going to get into why. Go ahead.
And all the people brake off the golden earrings which were in their ears, and brought them unto Aaron. And he received them at their hand, and fashioned it with a graving tool, after he had made it a molten calf. And they said, These be your gods, O Israel, which brought you up out of the land of Egypt.
All right, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 15. And see, my elder had earrings. I mean, my ears are pierced. I just, when I end up taking something out, I'll take them out and just won't put them back in for, a long period of time. So, Deuteronomy chapter 15, and let's read verses 12 through 17.
And if your brother, an Hebrew man or an Hebrew woman, be sold unto you and serve you 6 years, then in the 7th year you shall let him go free from you. And when you sendeth him out free from you, you shall not let him go away empty. You shall furnish him liberally out of your flock, and out of your floor, and out of your winepress. Of that wherewith Yahweh your Elohim hath blessed you, shall you give unto him. And you shall remember that you was a bondman in the land of Egypt, and Yahweh your Elohim redeemed you. Therefore I command you this thing today. And it shall be, if he say unto you, I will not go away from you, because he loveth you, and your house, because he is well with you. Then you shall take an awl, and thrust it through his ear unto the door, and he shall be your servant forever. And also unto your maidservant you shall do likewise.
Right, unto the man, the manservant and the maidservant. So, servants had earrings. Israel was made to be a servant unto Yahweh. So, these servants had earrings in their ears. So people kind of get that twisted and don't know really what they're looking at. See, the culture of Yahweh is not based upon what you think, what you feel, and what you believe, and what you like. Go ahead. Did you finish that?
Yes.
All right, let's go to 2 Chronicles chapter 6. Second Chronicles chapter 6, and we're going to start that at verse 17. And we want to deal with here why the Hebrews pray toward the east. Now, we call it toward the east because of where we are here, but it may not always be toward the east, depending on where you end up or where the people are located in the earth. And why this is going to answer that. 2 Chronicles chapter 6. And we're going to start that at verse 17. And we're going to read that through chapter 7 and verse 3.
Now then, O Yahweh Elohim of Israel, let your word be verified, which you have spoken unto your servant Deut. But will Elohim in very deed dwell with men on earth? Behold, heaven and the heaven of heavens cannot contain you. How much less this house which I have built? Have respect therefore to the prayer of your servant, and to his supplication, O Yahweh my Elohim, to hearken unto the cry and the prayer which your servant prayeth before you. That your eyes may be open upon this house day and night, upon the place whereof you have said that you would put your name there, to hearken unto the prayer which your servant prayeth toward this place. Hearken therefore unto the supplications of your servant, and of your people Israel, which they shall make toward this place. Hear you from your dwelling place, even from heaven, and when you heareth, forgive.
Right, so automatically, even wherever the children of Israel were located, their prayers were directed toward the temple. So different tribes lived in different places, so their prayer was directed toward the temple. So one group may be facing toward the east, another one may be facing toward the west, depending on where they were situated away from the temple. Go ahead.
Verse 22. If a man sin against his neighbor, and an oath be laid upon him to make him swear, and the oath come before your altar in this house, then hear you from heaven, and do, and judge your servants, by requiting the wicked, by recompensing his way upon his own head, and by justifying the righteous, by giving him according to his righteousness. And if your people Israel be put to the worse before the enemy, because they have sinned against you, and shall return and confess your name, and pray and make supplication before you in this house, then hear you from the heavens and forgive the sin of your people Israel, and bring them again onto the land which you gave it to them and to their fathers. When the heaven is shut up, and there is no rain, because they have sinned against you, yet if they pray toward this place, and confess your name, and turn from their sin, when you thus afflict them, then hear you from heaven, and forgive the sin of your servants, and of your people Israel, when you have taught them the good way wherein they should walk, and send rain on your land, which you have given unto your people for an inheritance. If there be dearth in the land, if there be pestilence, if there be blasting or mildew, locusts or caterpillars, if their enemies besiege them in the cities of their land, whatsoever sore or whatsoever sickness there be, then what prayer or what supplication soever shall be made of any man or of all your people Israel, when every one shall know his own sore and his own grief, and shall spread forth his hands in this house, then hear you from heaven your dwelling place, and forgive and render unto every man according to unto all his ways, whose heart you knoweth, for you only knoweth the hearts of the children of men, that they may fear you to walk in your ways, so long as they live in the land which you gave it unto our fathers. Moreover, concerning the stranger, which is not of your people Israel, but is come from a far country for your great name's sake, and your mighty hand, and your stretched out arm, if they come and pray in this house, then hear you from the heavens, even from your dwelling place, and do according to all that the stranger calleth to you for, that all people of the earth may know your name, and fear you, as does your people Israel.
Right. And you know what we hear today is the name is too holy to say. So we can't say the name. Where you get that from? It don't come out of this book. That's a lie. See, they don't want you to know the name. See? You don't know the name. Man, it's too many things in this book. Why would Yahweh give Moshe the name and then tell him not to say it? Yahweh already saw how that worked out. Hey, there go the tree. Don't eat from it. Now how that work out? That didn't work out too good for us, did it? So we ain't gonna turn around and tell us the name for it. Oh, but don't say it. And you got people walking around with this crap. Yet they have a prime minister called Netanyahu. But don't say Yah. What kind of sense that make? Right. That's for you not to say the name. That's for you not to pray in the right name, because deliverance might end up coming if you call on the right name. Go ahead.
And may know that this house which I have built is called by your name. Verse 34. If your people go out to war against their enemies by the way that you shall send them, and they pray unto you toward this city which you have chosen, and
toward this city. So now even if the people are spread out, now if they pray toward this city, hear their prayer. Go ahead.
And the house which I have built for your name, then hear you from the heavens their prayer and their supplication, and maintain their cause.
Right. So people won't accuse you of being some kind of sun worshiper. Y'all, what do you mean you pray toward the east? Y'all sun worshipers. Now the very people they will turn around and have an Easter sunrise service and accuse you of worshiping the sun. What you think y'all getting up early for sunrise service? You do know y'all worshiping the sun. You do know Easter is a sun sign, right? They don't know that. You know they don't know that, right? Those things are based on the equinoxes. Those are all sun symbols. They have no idea. They don't know what sunrise service is about. Ain't nobody tell us when we were keeping Easter. All we knew is we got some good soups and we got some eggs and chocolate. That's all we knew about it. We don't know nothing else. Man, what the eggs and the chocolate got to do with Jesus? Nothing. It's got something to do with the God of fertility and worshiping the sun. It has nothing to do with anything else. Go ahead.
2 Chronicles chapter 6 and verse 36. If they sin against you, for there is no man which sinneth not, and you be angry with them, and deliver them over before their enemies, And they carried them away captives unto a land far off or near.
Far off or near. Go ahead.
Yet if they bethink themselves in the land whither they are carried captive, and turn and pray unto you in the land of their captivity, saying, We have sinned, we have done amiss, and have dealt wickedly. If they return to you with all their heart and with all their soul in the land of their captivity, whether they have carried them captives, and pray toward their land, which you gave it unto their fathers.
Pray toward their land, even if they're not in the land, they're spread out somewhere else. See, we're not just doing some stuff because we think it's something cool to do. Go ahead.
And toward the city which you have chosen, and toward the house which I have built for your name. Then hear you from the heavens, even from your dwelling place, their prayer and their supplications, and maintain their cause, and forgive your people which have sinned against you. Now, my Elohim, let I beseech you, your eyes be open, and let your ears be attent unto the prayer that is made in this place. Now therefore, arise, O Yahweh Elohim, into your resting place, you and the ark of your strength. Let your priests, O Yahweh Elohim, be clothed with salvation, and let your saints rejoice in goodness. O Yahweh Elohim, turn not away the face of your anointed. Remember the mercies of Deut, your servant.
Right, and you have to ask yourself, even when people try to tell you that you're not supposed to say the name, how did he even make them prayers? What did he say? Oh, Shem Shem, turn not away the face of thine anointed. Look how many times he says Yahweh Elohim. What was he saying? Oh, Shem Shem. Oh, we love you. Oh, we glorify your name, Shem Shem. That don't even make no sense. Go ahead.
Now when Solomon had made an end of praying, the fire came down from heaven, and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices, and the glory of Yahweh filled the house. And the priest could not enter in the house of Yahweh, because the glory of Yahweh had filled Yahweh's house. And when all the children of Israel saw how the fire came down, and the glory of Yahweh upon the house, they bowed themselves with their faces to the ground upon the pavement, and worshipped, and praised Yahweh, saying, For he is good, for his mercy endureth forever.
His mercy endures forever. So then we have this whole thing here of even dealing with this name. Let's go to Exodus chapter 6. Now, one of the things in even dealing with the holy name, you get into a lot of things of pronunciation, and we won't get into the pronunciation debate because that can go either way. You know, I mean, is it, you know, tomato or tomato? To some people, you know, we say Boston, somebody else says Boston. To them, that's the same word. It's spelled the same way, but they say it's, you know, a totally different way. So we don't get into those things, but we do have to get into the holiness of this name. Let's Exodus chapter 6, and we're going to read verses 1 through 3. So we can deal with a few things, because the first thing about this prayer, we then have this Yahweh Elohim constantly. If you're making these prayers toward this place, then the question is, in whose name are you praying? Go ahead.
Then Yahweh said unto Moshe, Now shall you see what I will do to Pharaoh. For with a strong hand shall he let them go, and with a strong hand shall he drive them out of his land. And Elohim spake unto Moshe, and said unto him, I am Yahweh. And I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob by the name of El Almighty.
Right. They never knew Yahweh. So when we read the things, do understand Yahweh has given these things to Moshe, and then he's the one who's jotting down these things. So he is putting Yahweh in there because he now knows the name, but the name was not known before. And he's saying, I appeared unto Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob by the name of El Almighty, El Shaddai. Now, if we look at that, H410 is El. This is this is Elohim. This Elohim, you have El being singular, Elohim being plural. Now, people will see this God in different places and now understand that it was a different word used there. See, this word God is not the same word God that was used when it says, let us make man. See, when it says, let us make man, that word was H430. That was Elohim. Elohim is the plural form of El. That's why it says, let us make man. This is why people try to make Christ and Yahweh the same person, because they don't understand. This is not the same God. They put God there. It was not the same term that's used here and the same term that's used in Genesis, let us make man. When it was God there, it was Elohim. That was H430. So we have to consider, they never knew anything but El Shaddai. Keep going.
But by my name Yahweh was I not known to them.
Right. By my name Yahweh was I not known to them. So if you get to that, you then have to deal with, he only allowed them to know El Shaddai. Let's go to Genesis chapter 32. See, we have to take some things into consideration here. Isaiah 43 says, I have called you by your name. You are mine. It was Yahweh that gave the Holy Family this name of Israel. See, people don't understand the holiness of the name Israel. Because see, you have a lot of brothers that's doing this Yahshua thing. See, the whole part of all they knew was El Almighty. El is the holy portion of that. So this is why you're going to find El in Israel, not Israel, not Al. See, don't end in Al, A-L. It ends in El, E-L. All right? Genesis 32, and let's read verses 24 through 28.
And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, as he wrestled with him. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let you go, except you bless me. And he said unto him, What is your name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Your name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince have you power with Elohim, with men, and have prevailed. And Jacob asked him and said, Tell me, I pray, your name.
Right. This ain't none of your business what my name is. Don't worry about what my name is. Your name shall be Israel. So when you read the things about concerning Exodus, when he's telling Pharaoh to let his people go, he says, let go my son Israel. See, so when we get the only begotten son, that is the spirit of Israel that dwells in that body. And we were named after that. This is why you have, he did not give us Yahweh. He gave us El Shaddai. Then he gives us this holy name of Israel, which is the name of the Son. So let's jump and read verse chapter 33. Let's start this at verse 18. And let's see the first thing he sets up.
And Jacob came to Shalem, a city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Padam Aram, and pitched his tent before the city. And he bought a parcel of land where he had spread his tent, at the hand of the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. And he erected there an altar, and called it El Elohi Israel.
Now, see what he called it? El Elohe Israel. You hear how many L's in that? Now, where's Al? Where Al at? See, you can't find Al. But you got a lot of Hebrew Israelites talking about Yahshua. But there ain't no holiness in Al. So you understand, but the adversary, the devil, is very cunning. So then when you deal with Israel, what does Israel mean? See, you carrying the name Israel, you need to know what it means. He will rule as Elohim, a prince of Elohim. Why you think every time there's a certain group of brothers that every time they greet one another, they say, "What's up, Prince?" Well, why you think they saying that? It's Israel, so they call one another Prince. Israel means if he is ruling as Elohim, he is under Elohim. This is the name of the son. He is the prince. The prince is the king to be. So then they call one another Israel. They call one another princes. I don't get off into that prince thing, but this is where that comes from, so you can understand why they do it. I just don't do it. I don't call them wrong for doing it. I just don't do it. So, but this is where that is coming from. So you have this Israel. He will rule as Elohim. You hear it in there? El. It is in the name. It's in the definition. I'm trying to get somebody to tell me what Yashrael mean. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 44. Now, I had a brother try to tell me, but I knew he didn't know nothing when he started talking. So and I know he got it from somebody else. So I'd rather talk to whoever it was he got it from, because I taught him and I know he didn't know none of that, what he was talking about. So let me get to whoever you got that from and let me talk to them, because he couldn't explain it. And it's amazing that people pick up something from somebody else and can't explain where they got it from. Like them whole moving Sabbath people and the whole Enoch calendar people. When it come time to keep the holy day, they got an equation that can't nobody understand but one or two dudes. And they don't understand it. They're just good enough to keep talking about it long enough for you to stop asking questions. But when I do this, it's simple. When they get into all that stuff, that's all fine and dandy. According to this Torah, 7 Sabbaths is 49 days. When we get ready to keep Pentecost, the 50th day is on the first day. It's on what they call Sunday. That's Pentecost. Show me that in your Enochian calendar. And boy, them Enochians be bumping into each other trying to see how they gonna show me 7 times 7 and 49. Because they got some funny math. So that they don't count the first day, but they count the other day. Before you know it, hey bro, you got 50-some days in here. You got 60 days in here. Wait a minute, 7 times 7, 49. Yeah, but see, you don't count the new moon. It is a day by itself, brother. It is a set-aside day, so it does not count. So you go from 1 to 7, skip 8, and then the 9th is the 8th. What kind of math is that? I guarantee you didn't graduate. Hey, you count. Like, I guarantee you didn't go. Go tell that to your teacher and see what happened to you. Right. Isaiah chapter 44, and let's read verses 1 through 5.
Yet now hear, O Yaakov my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen. Thus saith Yahweh that made you, and formed you from the womb, which will help you. Fear not, O Yaakov my servant, and you, Yeshurun, whom I have chosen. For I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, and floods upon the dry ground. I will pour my spirit upon your seed, and my blessing upon your offspring. And they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the watercourses. One shall say, I am Yahweh's.
One shall say, I am Yahweh's. When you look at this, Isaiah, Jeremiah is Yirmiyahu. You have these names, and if you look back at a certain point, the names end in L. Then after a certain point, you see Yah after those names. You don't see names with Yah in it before Moshe, because they didn't know Yah before Moshe. So when you get these people who are dealing with these things, they dealing with them out of order, and they just want to insert things where things ain't gonna fit. Go ahead.
And another shall call himself by the name of Jacob, and another shall subscribe with his hands unto Yahweh, and surname himself by the name of Israel.
He shall surname himself by the name of Israel, and Yahweh knew that the children of Israel would be spread out to the four corners of the globe, and that we would lose our heritage. The last names that we have are the names of the slave masters who owned us. You do not have, and this is the same way that we picked up what denomination of Christianity we believe in. My elder used to call it the demonations. The demonation, whatever demonation of Christianity that you believe in, it was because of the slave master that owned you. You didn't make the choice. And folks will stand up and fight for something that they didn't even choose. You ask them, okay, well, what's the difference between the Baptist and the Methodist? They can't tell you because they didn't make the decision. The slave master made the decision. That's why there used to be, just like Brother Kish was saying, I think it was Bible study, that if you look at them old pictures of our people having slave church, there was one white man sitting in the back. What you think he was for? Make sure you didn't go in certain parts of this book. Make sure that you read into approved areas. Because you read you can stay in certain parts where it say, hey, be a good slave. Be a good such and such. Right? Then there's other parts where you start reading, you're like, wait. You mean there's a way you supposed to treat slave? Wait a minute. Master, you read this? I'm gonna beat the black off you, boy. I'm gonna beat the black off. Stay there. Right? You know, you don't get to read that part. Don't read that. See? You just read to be a good slave. And so there's certain things that it was push for us to read, and other things we wasn't supposed to read because it was going to get us some fancy ideas. First of all, they didn't want us to read. But then, now we got to the point of we read. Now the control factor is, all right, now let's control what they read. And they're doing it now. They are controlling what we read by telling us and giving us this mindset that anything in the Old Testament is not, don't even look at that stuff. That stuff is not even valid. When if you start anything in the middle, you're not going to understand it. Your favorite TV show, you can't even understand it if you start in the middle. So there's a thing here. And so when we deal with this, the L of Israel, we have to understand that there is a culture there. And even when we deal with the holy name of Yahweh, what was given to us was this tetragrammaton of YHWH, the Yod Hey Wah Hey. Some then take what was given to us in English with the YHWH and then try and take that back to Hebrew, and they end up getting the Ahaya, Asher, Ahaya, and things like that, instead of looking at what was there before. And instead of getting into all of those things, when you read, let's go to Exodus chapter 3, because one thing you will find that is going to be constant is the first part. Exodus chapter 3, and let's read verse 14. Matter of fact, started at 13.
And Moshe said unto Elohim, Behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, The Elohim of your fathers has sent me unto you, and they shall say to me, What is his name? What shall I say unto them?
Right. Because all they have known was what we read in 6 was El Shaddai. Go ahead.
And Elohim said unto Moshe, I am that I am. And he said, thus shall you say unto the children of Israel.
Right. Now, he gave the whole thing, I am that I am. Then he says something else. Go ahead.
I am have sent me unto you.
I am have sent me unto you. So, when you get right down to it, most of all, you have some people that'll say, Ahaya, some says Yahuwah, some says some other thing. The key part in there is Yah. And if you get in Psalm 68, it says he is extolled by his name Yah. Hallelujah. It don't say hallelujah Yahweh, hallelujah. So we understand that this is the back portion of it. If you deal with Yah, I don't get into a whole lot of other things with that. The constant part is Yah. You don't, people get off into it, whether it's Yahweh or Yahuwah or this. You're dealing with a whole lot of pronunciations. If they have Yah in it, I leave them alone. I'm not going to go off into all that. We know it ain't Jehovah. We know it's not God. We know that all of these things are these substitutes that were given unto us. And when we look at what's written in Isaiah 44, you understand why we change our names and surname ourselves after the name of Israel, after Yaakov, after these things, because Yahweh knew that we would lose our culture in the disciplinary action that we would be made to face. Well, that's all that we're going to do today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.